Greetings, geeks, and welcome to episode 447 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Malda, and I am here today in pretend low Earth orbit with two of the finest geeks you're ever going to imagine. First, I have Chris DeBona.
Hi, everybody.
And Rob Roseboom.
Hey there.
Everybody safe and with clean hands?
Yeah, my hands are super clean.
That's cool.
And I'm safe, so between the two of us, we got it all covered.
You got it covered? Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm not safe. I'm in California.
You're also in a box.
Yeah, it's a good box, though.
Sure.
That's how you know I don't fart a lot, because if you fart in a box like this, it's over.
If you got to fart in your box, do it, man. I can't smell it.
Yeah, but that's the point. I really can't. So I need to get, and I need consistent productivity in this box. So, right. I'd imagine, this is the thing about the space station that people don't really talk about. It must just smell like machine oil and farts the whole time. And that's what I've heard from friends of mine who have been up there. So
I would not want that for them, but I guess I should throw my hat in the ring. I'm super qualified because odors have no effect on me, but I sure do make.
Well, that's good and bad, right? Because you need to smell when insulation is burning.
Oh yeah.
On the space station.
We've discussed this before. My inability to smell has come very close to death at least once. Let's see, gentlemen. Do we need to talk about what it means to be sarcastic?
I mean,
does that mean you inject bleach?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Then I know what it is.
I mean, I would say probably, but then the people who were saying that was sarcastic, I don't think know what sarcasm means and aren't really interested in learning what it means. So,
I was trying to find, there's a Simpsons quote, and I looked for longer than I should have to try to find it, but there's a Simpsons quote, which is, when you make that face, it means I'm kidding. Homer says it to Marge. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's Trump in the media. I would
rather talk about literally anything else. I mean, it's just idiocy. I just can't do it anymore.
All right. That's cool with me.
Sorry. I mean, we can if you really want to.
I don't. That was the only thing that I had on my mainstream news list. Well, I had another one that was non-presidential, but did you see the story that I put up about emails tainting the Stanford Antibody study?
No.
So they were supposed to be taking a random sampling in order to try to detect prevalence of antibodies.
No. I'm really familiar with this one. Yeah.
Yes. So apparently somebody posted to like a school mailing list.
That was my
this thing was
school,
happening,
right?
And this then, of course, causes a disproportionate percentage of one particular population type. Let's say wealthy soccer moms. Go and
dude, this was my son's school. You know that, right? Yeah.
Oh no.
I remember this email. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was sent to Egan. Phew. Okay, never mind. It's okay.
It's not Chris's fault.
Yeah, but it wasn't just to that mailing list. But yeah, wow. Okay.
I mean, I was actually talking to Kat about this earlier. Like, this is an interesting case where obviously there's no real malice intended in all of this.
No, I mean, it changes the mix of the population. It
totally
changes the validity of the test, so whatever.
But it's one of those things where science is freaking hard.
It really is. And like the quality of these antibody tests, I mean, we're still not sure about them. We're trying to learn so many things all at once about this disease. And then we find out that, oh, that was something that happened also. I mean, that is really interesting. So they found out that a case happened as early as January 7th out of CES.
Yep.
A local woman, Patricia Dowd, working at Lamb Research, I think, caught it there or something. And they're finding they're going back to December to review autopsy results and tests to find this thing. I mean, it's probably been around here a really long time. There's so much travel between Asia and the Bay Area for work. I mean,
yeah,
it's nuts, and yeah, but Jay, he's a solid doctor, he's really Anyway, point I'm making is, it's really interesting what's going on. I think this is a bit much to say that the study's screwed up because of that. I mean,
yeah. Well, but I mean, there's enough there. I mean, that's not what that study was trying to get. I mean, you only need if you got a study with a sample size that's only a few thousand people, and you have a few hundred people that are not according to the standard population distribution. I mean, it's just, this is, I mean, we've all been in those situations where it's really hard to make smart,
get outside your network,
statistical analysis, because these unintended things just happen. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's the whole story of this virus, is that we literally don't know. And like at every single step, there's like so many variables, like something fishy's going on in China because we don't know what the real numbers are in China. And then people do tests, and then you have like these huge percentages of false positives in some of these different antibody tests. Like enough that like like every number is complicated by all of this extra stuff. It sucks.
It does. We're going to be at home until August of next year.
The expanded, the expanded testing in New York. The last story I saw I think it was 17% of the population tested positive. So
I've seen everywhere from 13 to 21.
It's crazy.
So, but who knows? Because there's so many false positives that who knows what the real number is.
The one that kind of freaks me out, and I mean, like I have talked to anecdotally a number of people, and myself included, who had some sort of horrible disease kick their ass in late January, early February.
Yeah, I did. I'm Danny. Sorry, a friend of mine did. I mean, like, it's crazy.
And so then you're in this weird situation. Like, do you think you had it, or was it totally a coincidence? Because there was a really crappy flu going around.
Yeah, I mean, I was so sick I had to go and get breathing treatments, almost. So,
wow.
That was right around that time.
I spent one whole night or one whole evening laying on the floor in my bathroom because I was too tired to stand up.
So I'm looking at my timeline of travel on Google Location History, and I've got Germany, Brussels, the United Kingdom, Chicago, Utah, Colorado, Nevada. I was just driving through though. Seattle and Los Angeles. And it's like, and that was just this year. That was just 2020. And it's
the thing for me though is that I think the only person that I could think of, because I don't go out ever. So really the only person who probably could have got me would have been Bates.
Yep. For sure. Bates travels like a madman.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
What was
and it turns out he's patient zero.
Well, I mean, aren't we all? Because, so I'm looking at like 2019. I mean, I was in Taipei. I was all over Europe. I was in Cozumel for a destination wedding. For some reason, it has me in Edmonton, but that was just me flying over Canada. But yeah, it's like, this is one of those things.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, they do all those tests now, right? Where they analyze DNA, and they're pretty good at pinpointing like where the viruses are spreading from. I mean, like a year from now, we're going to have a lot of really interesting data.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I put a story up, a video to a Gamers Nexus story about a CPU cooler. You don't have to watch the whole review, but you should watch like the first 5 or 6 minutes because they lay into this thing, and it's really, really funny. And also, like, he's a real, I don't know, like his delivery.
Steve's the best.
He's got
I love me some
delivery.
Steve.
But yeah, the guys like tried to pay them to pull reviews off of their channel and stuff. Like his whole thing is just like he goes through and lists the claims made in their marketing materials, and he's explaining how like just utterly Looney Tunes their claims are. It's really funny. It's something like he works out that they must have 8-dimensional cooling capabilities based on the fact that they claim that they have 3-dimensional cooling, and there's 2 of their tubes. It's nuts. Watch the first like 6 minutes.
No, I totally will. I'll not right now, but
no, we got important nothing to talk about.
That was, yeah, man. I love me some Steve. That's all I gotta say. I just love that guy to death. I worry about him not having enough to talk about. With CES being basically canceled. And,
You
all
know,
these
I
shows
think
get
that
canceled,
I think
but
so. I watch that thing most weeks, and
yeah,
I think he'd have enough to talk about. But I think that the problem is that without the larger media machine churning out interest in certain keywords,
Yeah.
he's going to be harder pressed to get traffic to his
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so we should talk about him a lot. Go watch Steve. He's amazing. So.
There you go. Go watch
I love
Steve.
that guy. He's like the best kind of nerd. You know, I wish there was a nicer way to say that, but it's like, you know, he's like mother's milk nerd. You know,
Yeah.
he's just like, oh, we've been around guys like Steve our entire lives, and I love every second of it. You know.
Yep. Well, we've been around versions of Steve that like versions of Steve run across a spectrum, and we've met the jerk versions and we've met the nice versions.
Yeah.
You know, like the level of competence and the level of ability to speak. Like he's in a sweet spot right there.
Well, and right. I mean, he's really a good writer. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
this is the thing about Steve. His writing, I mean, because he's always reading from that paper, right?
Yep.
His writing is just top shelf. You know, so.
I mean,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, I've you know, we've talked about this a bit in the past. Like, what would have we done, you know, if video was a thing 15 years ago? And I
Yeah.
know, Rob, you had to do stuff in the video in the later eras after I left you behind. But like something like this would have been like what I would have aspired to. But we obviously never could have pulled that off because we're not people that are meant to be on TV. I say on YouTube.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that he has 1 million subscribers and we have like 7. So did you see that Dolly Parton was actually a producer on Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yeah, I had never heard of that.
I was hoping you'd mention that because I think that's great.
Right?
I love me some Dolly Parton.
You and me both, man.
She's such a neat gal.
She is. She's got a great head for business, and
Yeah.
by all accounts, she's very, very sweet and nice. So,
yeah. She's but yeah, secretly under a producer name or under a production company. Her name was never associated with it publicly until now. That's crazy.
Hmm.
yeah.
I have a lot of.
If you were unfamiliar with the story of her ex-wife or her ex-husband,
Yeah,
owning the rights to her music and basically stealing them from her, and what she did for him in later years when he was down on his luck, I mean, it's just, you know, she's just a really great person. You know, she will help you to the end of your life, even if you stabbed her in the back. You know,
yeah.
She's just a really sweet lady.
And she's got the thing like how she's got like the book a month club or whatever for poor kids.
Yeah,
I mean, what a great gal.
And I will say that her version of Stairway to Heaven is pretty much on permanent rotation in my personal music library.
Oh, yeah?
You know? I absolutely... What's that?
I know she's a great songwriter. I don't think I've ever heard that particular cover.
Yeah, it's really good. Like I kind of like it better than the Led Zeppelin version, mostly because I've heard the Led Zeppelin version too much. But
and that's weird because I've heard a lot of you know, Dolly Parton music. My wife, when we first started dating, she was living with a Dolly Parton impersonator. And let me tell you what the soundtrack of that apartment was.
Yeah. It was mostly rock and roll. No, okay.
It was not.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna look up what I got in my Dolly Parton playlist here. I got a lot of Dolly Parton in my playlist. Yeah, she. I've logged a lot of hours with the Dolly Parton. I think she's kind of got the thing now going on too, where she, on an almost constant basis, is being like doing duets with modern people, and it's really kind of just fun to see. It's like, oh, here you are with Kesha, here you are with Miley.
Right.
It's now fashionable. Now it's cool.
Now they've discovered Dolly, that Dolly Parton's neat. Something we've known since childhood. So.
Well, I think it's mostly we're so old now that these artists used to listen to her music from their parents, you know. So they're like, oh, that's cool that she's still around.
Let's see, what else do we have on the list? We talked about
I would have said, what's that?
No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, so the new Ryzen mobile GPU CPUs that have been coming out have been really blowing people's socks off. I don't
Is
know
that
if we
the
want to talk about that.
4000s?
Yeah, the 4000s. They're
They're
supposed to be
weird.
really remarkable.
And they're super low power.
Super low power, super low price. That Walmart like it's sort of like that Walmart weird $300 laptop that's just incredible with like eight virtual cores, four regular cores, the motile. It's like we're gonna see a whole generation of like remarkable laptops. It's just really neat, that's all.
Yeah, I was just actually looking because May is coming up, and I get to do my maybe I'll get to buy my gamer's PC finally. And so I was going back through the Ryzen CPU list and just trying to see what I wanted to land on. And I'm kind of sitting around the 3700X, but I keep reading about those 4000s. That's not what I want, but that's what all the headlines are about right now.
Well, yeah, I mean they're different range. I mean, if you get the 3950X, then you would have all the 32 cores, 64 virtual cores that you would ever need, Rob.
Right, but that's twice as expensive. That's twice the price. It's twice the wattage.
But it'll last forever.
No, it won't. That's not how computers work. He says, talking into his 8.5-year-old MacBook.
Yeah, that's true.
It'll last forever as long as nothing else gets better.
Well, I mean, that goes back to this GPU transmitter thing. So basically what people are doing is these chips are going so fast you can turn them into radio transmitters with their XSRF. I mean, think about okay. Let's do this. What is the frequency of a microwave oven? So it's 2.4 gigahertz. So literally we have little microwaves sitting on our at the normal non-boosted speed. It's just a microwave flinging out microwaves.
That's why they stopped calling them laptops.
Yeah, because you were cooking your laptop. So.
Yep.
But it's kind of amazing. This is remarkable. Like the amount of, I'm still nerd enough that the amount of power sitting on my desk is just startling. I love it.
It's funny because the next thing in my YouTube watching queue, and I'll paste it out after we do this, is a list of all of the computers. Is it Scott Manley? A list of all of the Apollo era computers. They have 4 of them that were involved in the launch. And he's got a 20-minute documentary on them. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing. Yeah, to see the jump from that to even
this guy. He's great.
Yeah, he's Scott Manley, and I like his whole vibe.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just him and what's his name? He works at Google. Oh, I should remember his name off the top of my head. The one who's been rebuilding the Apollo computer.
Yep. I see that guy. I don't remember his name either, but I was watching it.
Ken Sheriff. Man, that guy's amazing. He's so cool.
Those guys are nerds.
Yeah. Best people.
I remember with the air-gapped PC thing. I remember the first time that I really spent any time thinking about it, and it was actually whilst reading Cryptonomicon, because there's the whole scene where he's in the jail cell and he's worried about somebody watching his screen through the wall, and all of the shenanigans that he goes through to disguise somebody who would try to be reading the frequencies off of his monitor. Is in typical Neil Stephenson fashion. The whole scene is about how he uses X and puts up random windows that are like simulating random typing, so somebody watching wouldn't know which window on his desktop is the actual one that he's really typing in. And that always registered to me as like, oh, you really have to go through shenanigans if your concern is somebody monitoring you through an air-gapped some sort of air-gapped monitoring system. That's next level weird. And that was, of course, just somebody like trying to monitor like frequencies off of an old CRT.
Yeah.
So different than a GPU.
So when I was working at the State Department, we had like the occluded interference glass on all of the outside facing windows. We had a tempested and a non-tempested PC on every desk. It was really crowded. And then if you actually, and I would always like whenever they were working inside the walls on the cables, and on the infrastructure of the building, it would just be opened up and like with some caution tape around it. But you would look in there, and the tempested network, they actually had insulation like this thick around a given wire to isolate it from surrounding other wires that might be going alongside it. I mean, it was insanely cool. Honestly, it was really neat. But I was like, this is a lot of work for this, so, and it really drove home the expense of true security. And I was like, ugh, so
There's no such thing as true security anymore. Jeez.
well, I mean, I don't know. It's like classifying documents, classifying actions costs a lot, and it should really be worth it. And it also costs a lot for our national psyche. So I'm not sure it's worth it, So anyway, just a thought.
Just a thought.
Information wants to be free, man.
That's true. I mean, that is true, but it's expensive to stop it.
Yeah, maybe we should say keeping information secret costs a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah, the other side.
Westworld I saw yesterday. Man, it's good, but they're slowing down. Like they've got so little material. They're stretching too much butter over too little butter over too much toast.
Yeah, I
was bummed.
I was watching it. I remember I actually paused it and I said to my wife, "Wait a second, did I fall asleep?
Yeah.
What is going on here?" And I'm not a dumb guy. I'm not the smartest guy on the channel or in the world, but it's like I'm like, are they just like throwing shit against the wall still? In season 3, episode freaking 9 or whatever. It's like 7 of 8. They're still throwing crap against the wall and seeing what sticks. I'm like, come on, beautifully
they
produced.
Must be doing
wonderful
something right
soundtrack.
because they just got greenlit for season 4. So
yeah,
they are absolutely the poster child for this thing that I keep talking about. HBO must have them set to, you got to make a 57-minute episode, and they've got like 10 minutes of material that just is not good enough. Like there was one sequence where Dolores like says the same thing in different ways like 3 times, and then there's a bunch of like ponderous thinking and like chill time for you to absorb all that. And like I get it, you're trying to build tension and everything, but you're not succeeding. That show could have 15 minutes chopped out of it and maybe make it more sense.
Well, I mean, like Aaron Paul's entire role could be distilled down to probably one sentence, and it's like, but they've dragged that crap out over 3 episodes. It's like, dude, I mean, I like him. He's a likable actor, and he does, hit in the face with a shovel better than anybody, but come on, like at some point, even he's gonna be like, yeah, I get it. I get it.
There's so many shows that do stuff like that. The show equivalent of increasing your font size to get another page of your paper in school, just
that's exactly it.
It's not double spaced. It's
like, I get it. You're trying to fill space.
Right. I did finally start Better Call Saul. I got halfway through Better Call Saul in like 1 day because that's good. That's a good show.
Right? You're starting from the first season?
No, I'm up to this season, but I was waiting so I could just ride this season.
Right, yeah. Because I kind of feel like the first couple seasons I watched them, but I wouldn't call them great. They're just kind of all right as they work through that story. But man, this season, it all pays off. This season is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly, it didn't pay off in the earlier seasons, but boy, it just keeps getting better.
That's one of those shows where if they have a good director, like they do the thing in a lot of episodes where they give like a 3-minute long just montage, like a mood piece, setting up episodes, and they do that a lot, and very few shows do that better. They'll just like a short film almost of like a moment in a character's life, and nobody pulls that stuff off as well as that show does. And then you get now like they finally brought back in this season. I just saw them bring back Hank, and I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah,
like, I wanted to see Hank. I don't want to see Bryan Cranston. Like that's too weird. I hope they don't bring Bryan Cranston back. No spoilers. But like I don't need that. But Hank is a good character to have he should be superfluously connected to this world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I just feel like in some of the earlier seasons, Saul wasn't my favorite character, and quite
Totally.
often I could care less what he was doing personally.
Yeah, I
I
thought
like
it
his
was like,
brother.
But this
like a
season,
clown.
this season he is just as interesting as everyone else,
And in fact, he is
for sure. So
he's taken over, I think, the more interesting characters. Like he is the most interesting character.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, I've said this before. I have my theory about, TV shows stretching not enough butter over too much toast. A lot of shows, the problem is they have a cast of 9 actors, and they've got to use actors 2, 7, and 6, and they're not as strong, and their storylines aren't as strong. This is definitely a show now where every actor that you're seeing, all the main storylines, they all are hitting. Westworld is a good example of that. Not happening, right? There's 2 Westworld storylines that you just don't care about.
Probably more than that.
I love me some Mike in
Yeah.
Better Call Saul.
Yep.
I think you could do a
Mike
whole
on the
show
track.
about him. And this season, Kim is so good this season as her character comes full circle.
Yep.
Like, wow. I can't say enough about it. It's great.
No, I'm only halfway through the season, but I can see, Jimmy and Kim are gonna have to come to odds at the end, and it's gonna be great.
So which episode are you on?
I just watched Mike get shot, and he woke up in
Mexico?
in a nowhere. I don't
Mexico.
know where.
Yeah. In Mexico.
Yep, I assume Mexico, based on the fact that they sepia toned the color grading.
Well, all colors in Mexico are slightly sepia. So
Right, that's how you do it. That's Mexico vision.
Yeah, the cameras, they have a little smudge on.
I've always assumed that it had something to do with the lenses. Not the. I wonder where that goes back. Like, where's the first show that because color grading in a TV show was not really something that we were doing up until like 10 or 15 years ago, There was the first movie to be fully color graded was it The Matrix? It was like back in that era.
Let me Google it.
It's pretty close to that because now you just do it in post, but it used to be if you wanted to get colors like that, you had to light it.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou is credited as the first film to use color grading. Very interesting.
Yeah. But it's that era. And it took a few more years for enough shows to be shot digitally and for that to be done like at a TV scale budget. But of course,
it's funny because now you can do it on Adobe Premiere, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can just pop up Logic and do that, or not Logic, pop up my Final Cut and do that right now on my 8-year-old MacBook.
Well, it would take a while on your 8-year-old MacBook, but yeah.
No, because I do it all at 480i, so it would be fine.
480i, yeah.
Yeah.
Interleaved, as you will.
It'd be fine. All right, folks, we're at the 28-minute mark. Do we have anything exciting that we want to bring up before we go about our day?
Nope.
All right. Gentlemen, this has been episode 447 of Geeks in Space. I'm Rob Commander Taco Mulder, and I am thanking my 2 glorious geek friends. Chris DeBona.
Thank you.
Rob Roseboom.
I'm glorious.
I guess you are glorious. All right. Smash that like button, post a comment, join our Patreon, hang out on our Discord. Bye.